Howdy folks, I'm Grumpy Gorgon Checkerspot, gradingly grousing about greedy gophers.
I'm Amber.
And here are more greedy gophers, but it turns out that they were just greedy Redditors and had a lot of Reddit stories they were gophering away. So let's get started. Yes, I just invented a new word. Alright folks, and our first letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Ignoring My Sister After Finding Out That My Parents Are Giving Her More Money Than They've Given Me? Well, I'm a 28-year-old female, and my sister, a 25-year-old female. She graduated high school, she worked for a year, and then she traveled for a year. She just did a retail job and DoorDash, and she claimed that she made about $40,000 and saved it since she was living at home. She then car camped across the continental US, backpacked across Southeast Asia, and some of Africa and the Middle East, and most of Europe, and parts of South/Central America. She said that her total trip was around $20,000. She came back and attended community college for a year and a half and got her associates. My sister told me that our parents, in our 50s, gifted her $1,000 for an emergency fund before traveling. My parents gifted me $1,000 for an emergency fund as well during my first year of college. She also said that our parents bought her textbooks for college, which my parents also did for me. But it just isn't adding up to me. I feel like my parents have always favored her, and I think that they've given her more money to travel than they are letting on. I tried to confront my parents, but they swear up and down that they didn't give her more money and that they only gave her the $1,000. She didn't seem to work that much during the year off and spent more time going to parties out of college that she didn't even attend, on dates, planning her trip, and volunteering at Humane Society. I think that she spent more time doing unpaid labor at the shelter than doing actual paid work. Now my sister's boyfriend, a 28-year-old male, is moving to Switzerland for work for a year, and she decided that she is going to go with him. My parents gifted them $1,000 to help with moving expenses. When I heard about this from my youngest sister, a 16-year-old female, I lost it. They have never given me a dime since I graduated college. When I confronted my parents, my mom told me that it was because my sister reached a milestone in her life, and if I decided to move across the ocean, or have a kid, or buy a house, they would give me a gift as well. I have reached several milestones in my life since graduating college, buying a car, running a half marathon, getting a pet, and I've never seen any money. Now my parents invited me over for a goodbye party for my sister and her boyfriend. I've declined the invitation and told my parents to tell my sister that I no longer wish to see her. My parents told me that I'm being unreasonable and even said that they would give me money if I needed it that bad. It's not that I need the money, it's just principle. My sister has reached out several times, but I've ignored her. Am I the jerk for this? All right, folks, what do you think?
Yeah, OP, it sounds like you are the jerk here. It sounds like you're basing this off of, like, you cannot fathom how your sister got together her money, and you're assuming it has to be your parents, which is a really big leap. There could be all kinds of ways she's getting her money. It could be that you just weren't as close tabs as you were keeping on her. Maybe you weren't keeping close enough tabs. I don't know why you, like, had to keep tabs on her, everything she did like that. It seems a little creepy and weird, but aside from that, it's not your business how your sister is getting her money. There's no evidence of blatant favoritism that you present to us. And I understand that it was hurtful to you that they gave her this extra $1,000, but moving to another country is a big thing that comes with a lot of expenses. And it sounds like the parents even offered to give OP the equivalent amount of money if that was going to destroy the relationship.
Yeah, I mean, my big thing here is I think that OP has a lot of problems with jealousy. I think that they would be good to take the parents up on $1,000 and use that money for therapy.
Yes.
And say, I'll take you up on that money for therapy. I think that OP has a lot of issues here. It feels like they've done the responsible thing and gone to college and XYZ, whereas their sister, they feel, is being irresponsible and has done all this traveling and blah, 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 and that she's getting all these, benefits and stuff like that. Well, OP, there's nothing stopping you from backpacking across Europe if you want to, save up some money and go on a backpacking trip if that's really what you want to do. Or if you want to do, any number of things. I mean, I think that OP just needs to really sit down and reflect what's really bothering them, because I don't think it's the money, because the parents have offered them money. I think that it's just jealousy.
I think it is too. And if you like, OP is just looking for an excuse to cut their sister off.
Mm-hmm.
They're coming onto Reddit to try and get a justification that doesn't exist because they are jealous that their sister has a life that they find more appealing in some way, shape, or form.
Mm-hmm.
Or they don't think that their sister should have been able to succeed because she took a different path and she's succeeding, and they're upset about that.
Yeah. So I think it's a really unfortunate situation, and I think that she just really needs a lot of deep reflection, and I hope that she can find peace, because this is just not a good way to live your life. Not at all. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. But folks, let's see what the Wheel of Judgment has to say. Wheel of Judgment, turn, turn, turn. Tell us the judgment that OP's earned. Try again later. Wheel's like, I am not having any of this.
Wheel's like, well, you get tired of you kept telling me not to throw people in the centrifuge, so fine, I won't play.
And Umpire 24601 says, you're the jerk bedtime. You have no evidence that your sister didn't earn/save that much money. You've guessed, and you decided that your assumption is proof. You're 28 years old, grow up. You've told your parents that money matters more to you than family. This is something that they will remember, that a relationship with you is transactional and purely based on financial motives. Also, getting a pet or buying a car is by no means the same level of milestone as moving country and living with a partner. Running a half marathon is your choice. That might be a personal achievement, but it isn't a life milestone. You need to reevaluate what you're telling your family right now and get over this petty grudge. You sound like a 10-year-old and not someone who's nearly 30.
Well, and I do think there is something to be said for celebrating people's milestones, not necessarily monetarily, but it is important. Like if OP feels like their milestones have been overshadowed because they're not kind of your traditional milestones, that is an unfortunate situation, and that is worth having a conversation with the family about. So while it may not be reasonable to expect the parents to hand over $1,000 because OP completed a marathon, it would still, maybe it was worth a nice dinner or something like that. So I can understand OP's frustration if it feels like they're kind of being compared to the sister and are not measuring up, because everyone has different strengths and achievements, and it's important that we do celebrate them all.
And Equivalent Secret 26 says, you're the jerk. Running a half marathon, buying a car, or getting a pet isn't exactly a milestone in life. Additionally, just because you can't make the math work in your head doesn't make you privy to your sister's finances, how she saved, and what she saved. And Adventurous Out Here 12 says, you're the jerk. You're 28 and you count every small payment disparity between you and your sister. You sound like a piece of work. People are not happy with OP. Alright folks, and our next letter is titled, Am I a jerk for not talking to my sister since my wedding after her affair was exposed to ruin my day? I'm a 26-year-old male, and I married my wife Ella, a 26-year-old female, 4 months ago, and it's been 4 months since I spoke to my sister Valerie, a 31-year-old female, after her affair was exposed during our wedding reception. It led to a fight between her husband and the affair partner, who happens to be Ella's brother's best friend. The two are married, and they snuck off to continue their affair, but were caught by Valerie's husband. There was yelling, punches thrown. My sister was hysterically trying to get her husband to calm down and take back what he said. I assumed that he said that he was done with her, and they brought it back into the ballroom for everyone to witness. The cops had to be called, and Valerie's husband was insulting her and calling her every name a person might think of. The guy's wife got involved once she realized that it was her husband involved, and she jumped in, and Valerie ended up having her dress shredded and some hair was pulled out. It became a huge distraction, and Ella and I decided to leave early because most of the guests ran off after that. Valerie's husband, the affair partner, and his wife were all arrested, and Valerie was taken to the hospital. My parents told me that she was released 12 hours later, and I told them that I don't care and that I didn't want to talk about her or to her. Valerie did try reaching out, but I ignored her. She mostly cried about how her life was ruined and she needed her brother. It was an afterthought, like several weeks of an afterthought, when she apologized for what happened, but she tried to say none of it was her fault. But I refused to talk, and I still don't want to. My parents have passed along apologies for her, and I've told them to stop. They say that I need to talk, and Val needs me. and that she was the biggest victim since she needed to be taken to the hospital, and surely Ella and I didn't place any blame on her. But she knew that her husband and affair partner's wife were at the wedding. She chose to go off and mess around on her husband during my wedding reception. She made risky choices and didn't care about my wedding. So am I the jerk? All right, folks, what do you think?
No, not the jerk. She behaved really inappropriately. She and her affair partner both. It's like, you can't keep it in your pants for one wedding. Like, this wedding is about celebrating with family. It's not about going to Bone Town with your affair partner. And, the fact that she is still painting herself as the victim, like, it's unfortunate that she got hurt, but, when you cheat on your partner in a public venue, like, it's just screaming drama central. Like, it seems like she had no regard for OP and what this would do to OP's wedding and how it would sour the day. And so I don't blame OP for being hurt and upset about how she acted.
Yeah, this is a really unfortunate situation. I do have some sympathy towards her because she was injured and she was taken to the hospital, and like, the fact of the matter is that it shouldn't have resulted in violence, right? I mean, I think like this whole situation was got out of hand. But she shouldn't have done this along with her partner in crime. They should have known better. They should have realized that this was not the time or place to be doing these kinds of things.
Well,
right?
my guess is they were doing it for the thrill, because for some people the fear of getting caught is part of the thrill.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, why would you do something so risky,
Yeah, and it just seems like it was overly risky. And I mean, I feel bad because OP and their wives, day was essentially cut short because of this event. And, the police were called, people ended up in the hospital. There's just all kinds of things that are happening here. And I understand where Valerie is coming from, where she wants to talk to her brother and whatnot, but she made some poor decisions and she has to unfortunately live with those consequences, right?
Right. Well, and again, like Opie was saying, it does feel more like an afterthought. It wasn't
Yeah.
like she was immediately apologetic. It was just kind of like when she noticed that Opie wasn't talking to her, she's like, oh, I guess I should apologize.
Well, I mean, it's hard to say because it sounds like she tried to get a hold of OP, but OP didn't want to talk to them. And it may just be that OP, is kind of skewing the story so that in the way that they kind of remember it. But it could be that she wanted to apologize but wasn't able to reach OP and, eventually pass the message through their parents, because it sounds like they've been communicating through their parents. And that's, I'm not saying that OP isn't entitled to having their distance from her, because I think you can distance yourself from anyone for any reason, and this is a pretty good reason to distance yourself from someone.
The parents' reaction is giving serious Sisters Golden Child vibes, like saying that she is the biggest victim in this all. Like, again, yes, she got hurt, and that's unfortunate, but she is not the biggest victim in this situation. Like, how could you blame her? She chose to have an affair. And when you choose to have an affair, you, like, again, that doesn't mean you should get hit, but you are also not an innocent bystander who just, oopsies, I accidentally had an affair.
Mm-hmm. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. And Vicaries says, not the jerk, your sister messed around and she found out, and now she has to deal with the consequences. Given all this ruined your wedding, you have no obligation to forgive or support her. She's a dirty cheater, and all cheaters deserve zero compassion. I would tell my parents in no uncertain terms that if they don't back off on talking about the sister or trying to get you to help her or talk to her in any way, that I would go no contact with them as well. I'm curious what happened with her husband and the affair partner's wife. Are they getting divorced? And OP replies, Val is, I'm not sure about her affair partner. I would imagine probably. And Immediate Shallot 7245 says, do your parents always make excuses for her? How is she more a victim than the wife of her affair partner? It is absolutely her fault, and the fact that she brought this all to your wedding is disgusting. And now she's the victim, shaking my head, not the jerk. And OP replies, not always. But here they are going down with her on the sinking ship. All right, folks, and our next letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Refusing to Cancel My Honeymoon Because My Sister Planned Her Wedding for the Same Week? My fiance and I booked and paid for our honeymoon months ago. Out of nowhere, my sister announced her wedding date, and it's literally the same week that we're supposed to leave. Now she's saying that I should move or cancel my honeymoon because weddings are a once-in-a-lifetime thing, and I told her no, I'm not losing thousands of dollars and rearranging everything just because she picked that week. She called me selfish and said that I'm choosing a vacation over her big day. Even my parents are pressuring me to compromise for family. I honestly don't see how this is my fault. Am I the jerk for refusing to change my honeymoon? All right, folks, what do you think?
No, not the jerk. She chose to have her wedding on your honeymoon week. She knew what the consequences would be. It honestly feels like a power move at this point. Like, you know, if she knew when your honeymoon was happening, then she could have scheduled any other week and chose that one specifically. It is not your fault. She had poor timing.
Yeah, unless there's a really, really, really good reason why she chose this week in particular, it does feel a lot like she is trying to undermine OP's honeymoon. Now, like, suppose for a moment that this was like a anniversary of theirs or something like that, and they wanted to celebrate it on that anniversary. At that point in time, I think that they all need to sit down and kind of have a discussion about how they want to handle all those kinds of things. And maybe they can delay their wedding out for a year if it's really that important for them to have OP there. But if this is not tied to any important date or anything like that, and they're just doing this to kind of be spiteful to OP, then of course OP's not in the wrong and shouldn't have to rearrange their honeymoon to accommodate their sister.
Mm-hmm.
But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. All right, folks, it is tea time. Grab your beverages of choice. I've got some tea right here, and Amber, she has a joke.
What happened when the Tucks got married?
Well, when the Tucks got married, it was all tuxed up.
It said yes to the dress.
Oh.
And it's National Little Black Dress Day.
Oh, very good.
And also Ginger Cat Appreciation Day.
So go get married in a black dress with your ginger cat.
I mean, it could be a Halloween wedding.
Yes.
And then you can get a little costume for your ginger cat too.
Yes. And I have Mega Mint. All right, folks, that's all the time we have for today. Thank you so much for watching. Happy Manic Monday, folks. I hope your Monday is off to a great start. Amber, we need some kind of moral advice and or guidance, and please have it on siblings.
Don't have affairs in general, but especially don't have an affair at your sibling's wedding.
Probably not a good judgment call. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you all tomorrow.
Bye.